Hey, 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 everybody. Happy Monday. We are doing a special live stream this afternoon. I am excited to bring you a really, I think you'll find this fun conversation with a potential candidate for Washington State's 3rd Congressional District. I met this gentleman 5 years ago when Conservative Ladies was just a baby organization back in Washington State. And we did a town hall with the Republican candidates for the primary for the 3rd congressional seat, which, if you remember, Jamie Herrera Butler, one of the 10 representatives that voted to impeach Trump in 2020, was in that seat. And so these folks were challenging her. So we wanted to bring all these candidates together and let the people hear from them. It was one of our first, I think it might have been our very first candidate event. And I have the organization and me personally, we have come a long way since then. And I saw one of the candidates from that race pop up in my Facebook feed a couple weeks ago saying that he was considering a run for the 2026 election. And I got really excited because I really liked him when I first met him 5 years ago. And we've kind of lost touch. I didn't know where he went. And of course, Conservative Ladies has grown substantially since then. But I was really excited that he's entertaining a run again for Washington's 3rd Congressional District. So it is my honor to introduce you guys today to Wadi Yakhour, who is running for Washington's 3rd Congressional District to unseat Marie Perez. Wadi, thanks for coming back. I don't know how you say the G name. But she flipped the district red. I mean, that's debatable, right? Because we have the Washington state elections, which is kind of janky to say the least. But I'm super excited to I feel like we're kind of reunited. You were one of the first candidates that I ever spoke to right after we officially launched Conservative Ladies of Washington. And that was really that was an interesting season because we had so many crises going on in our family, but we were also, working with you and Joe and Heidi St. John, who was running in that election as well. And it was really cool. And one of the things that really stands out about you to me that I think everybody should know is you were the most easygoing of candidates in that race. You were so kind. You were so considerate to us and just and grateful for what we were doing. And candidates can be kind of funny about things, and our whole deal is doing things different. And you were on board. You were just like, whatever, just tell me when you're having an event and I'll come. And so I really love that about you, and have liked you personally. And so tell me what you're thinking, what's going on with this Wadi 2026 business.
First off, Julie, I want to thank you so much for having me, giving me the platform to be here, and for those really kind words. That's probably the nicest thing I've ever heard about myself this year so far. Thank you.
Well, it's the year is young.
Yeah. So my whole thing is, I ran originally in it was barely 2021 by the time I announced that, and I made my promises to the people, and I never got to see the end of that race, unfortunately. But now we are 5 years later. I'm looking at this district. I'm looking at this incumbent, and I think this is a microcosm of of the problems everybody's having right now in America. We elect these representatives, and this is a Republican and a Democrat problem. And this is why I'm pretty much going to move forward here soon. We elect these people that have these big words for us. They tell us they're going to fight for us. They're going to do all these great things for us, lower taxes, whatever. And then the minute that we elect them, the minute we give them our trust, they go to Washington, D.C., and they focus their attention that was once on the constituents and the people they needed to get them to D.C. in the first place. And that it seems like it completely shifts over. They find a whole new group of friends, and the lobbyists, the special interests, big corporate donors, fancy steak dinners, and happy hours. And then that seems to be the only thing they care about. That's what skews their votes. That's what they want to appeal to. They don't care about the constituents as much. As long as they have the big donors at home, they're the incumbent. They have all the protections that they need. And I don't want that. I don't think anybody wants that in their representative. They want a principled representative in Washington, D.C., somebody that says, no, I have my promises if I decide to run, which it's looking like I'm very likely going to. I have my promises that I'm making is if I break a single one of those promises, I will resign the next day. And the problem with the incumbent is she made a lot of the same promises I did about where she would take her money and what she would support. And it seems like we're already in our second term, and she's completely lied to the Democrats that voted her in. And not just Democrats, the moderates as well. And that's a big chunk of voters in that district. So we have to get away from these sellouts.
Yeah, and I think it's almost like it's all of them. It seems that way to me because, they, like you said, they go there and then they're playing games to get in favor with the leadership going to the steak dinners. And I was just in DC in early December and had dinner at one such steakhouse. I wasn't with lawmakers. I was with a different group, but I saw the lawmakers coming in and going into their private room. And those are all things, that these representatives do. And then they make deals to stay in favor with the leadership and have good spots on committees and things like that. So how are you going to stay responsible only to your constituents? And how are you going to do and you and I may disagree. I don't know where you stand on this person, but I felt like Marjorie Taylor Greene was really good about kind of fighting against the establishment machine in Congress. So I guess I would say, how are you going to sort of be willing to stand for your constituents when you've got pressure from the leadership?
Pressure from the leadership. Well, the leadership aren't the people that decide that I'm in the seat. If it was leadership, if it was the leadership's decision, people like me would never make it to that spot. And to be honest, the current system, people like me don't usually get to that spot. Right. When you have the power of your constituents, when you have the trust of the people and you don't break it, you can look the Speaker of the House in the eyes and say, no, that's unconstitutional, or no, that's too expensive. And that comes down to my first promise on my list. The number one list is there will be no lobbyists in my office. If I, even campaigning, you can see with candidates now, a lot of them like to play the early game and start giving them money, getting those obligations early, even if there's no chance for those people to win the seat. It's nice to play both sides. But if you just say no lobbyists, I'm 39 years old. I turned 40 in a week. Oh, it's almost over for me. I'm 39 years old.
Oh, please.
I'm 39 years old. I can do my own research, and I can talk to my constituents to see where we stand on how we vote. Just like I mentioned earlier, if you take that time, I mean, how many people watching this have tried contacting their representative federally and locally, and you get maybe a copy and pasted email response, or you can't get them to pick up the phone because it goes straight to voicemail. If you take that time having those steak dinners and those happy hours and all those meetings with those lobbyists, and you focus solely on your home district and the constituents and the people that got you there, you will be successful. They eventually, they can ignore you for a term or two, but eventually, yes, they have to put you on a committee. They have to put some sort of work out of you. So that is my number one goal. There will be no lobbyists. I can't wait. There'll be a big sign to hang up on the door. No lobbyists, foreign or domestic, in this office. I only want to talk to constituents or small business owners or the people that make America work and make that are composed of that district back home.
I love that. You know, I realized that I got ahead of things here. I dug right into the stuff with you. The political stuff with you. I want to just like reel back just for a couple of minutes or however long you want. Tell us about you and why you're qualified for this job. Why should the people hire you, and give them a little bit of background on Wadi?
I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. So just a quick background on me. I was born and raised in the Pacific Northwest. I have a funny name. My dad was an immigrant. He came over from Syria. Generations of Christian immigrants, really good, great people. My mom was an American. We have ties back all the way to the Revolutionary War. I'm a member of the Sons of the American Revolution. So I'm a little bit of a mix of the old and the new, you know. And grew up in the Pacific Northwest, high school and all that fun stuff. I joined the Navy in 2008. I was an aviation warfare systems operator. I was an air crewman, hunting submarines, gathering intel against some of these countries we're not at war with quite yet, South China Sea. And I did that up until 2014. And then I went back home to Vancouver, Washington. I was a college veteran and I was bored just going to college. And then I heard about this guy called Donald Trump, and he was going down the escalator. And I go, what? I'm sure like it moved you. It moved me as well. And I found out that there was a campaign office in Vancouver. And I showed up and I said, please, I'll do anything. I just want to volunteer. I want to do everything I can to support and to help. And I started out just building signs and the basic grassroots stuff that is required out of any campaign, presidential or local. And I guess they liked me. I have a lot of technical skill sets and in the general. So I worked every day. I worked 5 days a week in the primaries as a volunteer. In the general, they decided to bring me on full time, and I worked communications and operations and the whole shebang. And that ended up me going to Washington, D.C. in 2017 to work in the presidential administration. And I served from that very moment that President Trump swore in on his first term until the very, very last day of that administration. And then ever since then, I've just kind of been in DC. You know, it's cheaper to live in Washington, DC, across the bridge in Arlington, Virginia, than it is in Vancouver, Washington right now.
Wow.
So I said, oh, well, I might as well just stay here for a bit. I locked in though, then I went home and ran, but I've been doing a little political consulting on the side. I was a producer for a conservative TV show and podcast. We do a White House. Well, we did. I just left that job recently, but we have a White House press pass. We would do a live show 2-3 days a week. We would do all the new media events that they did for the press. It was a lot of fun. And I look back home and I see that seat and I see that the people need good representation.
Yep.
And that comes down to it is, I've been here for almost 10 years now. I've really seen how Washington, D.C. operates. I've seen the backroom deals sometimes, myself in some situations. I've worked with a lot of representatives, Congress people, professionally and personally. I've spent a lot of time in these congressional offices on the Hill having meetings. And it's just, you talk to these people and they don't represent us. There's no humanity behind them. All they care about is the next election, when really we need to focus on the country. We need to focus on the future for a lot of young Americans, and they're not being talked about as much today. But that about sums it up. There's some other stuff that we can talk about. I can't think of it at the top of my head, but
well, I'll have lots of questions for you. You've got some friends it looks like on the Facebook live stream. Sarah says Wadi is absolutely incredible. That's awesome, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
And
You're
Justine
the best. Thank you.
says hi. Hi, Julie. Hi, Wadi. Hello, Justine. Thanks, you guys, for joining us. Please, everybody, be sure to share this, especially with people in Washington. But really, no matter where you are in the country, you need to support conservative, America First candidates from from wherever you are. And I'm going to put up here on the screen Wadi's website. You can go and donate $20.26. That is a great way to just put your 2 cents or your 20 your $20.26 into. Why is it doing this? My producer's off today. Just kidding. I don't have a producer. That's my joke.
Let me know if you're hiring.
I hire people that work for free.
Oh, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I quit.
Okay, I wanted to put that back up. So if you would like to donate to the campaign from anywhere in the country, we all have, we need to make sure that we are sending conservative candidates to DC. And so helping to flip the seat back to red and give it to a very conservative candidate. There are some other Republican candidates who are running in this race. This live stream isn't about them. But what I can tell you in this live stream is that Wadi is by far my top choice, and is very much a conservative, and I believe he's a man of his word. And one thing that candidates know about me, although I don't know if Wadi knows this, is if you say something to me on a live stream, on video, I will hold you to it. So if you get elected and you go there, I will post this video if you don't hold your word. And I'll say, look, you even said on live stream.
I did say it on live stream. And unlike many people that run for office, I do not say anything that I do not mean, and I won't make a promise that I won't keep.
And I think something else that's really important for the people to understand. Some people might say, well, why has he been in Washington, D.C.? Why hasn't he been here in our district? And I kind of get that, but I also want to say it's important that when you're sending somebody to Congress, they understand how the sewer of DC operates. And having somebody that's been in the sewer and understands how it works is really a good candidate, because you're not sending them into the sewer with they've never been, they have no idea really how it's going to work. And so I think, I honestly think, Wadi, that your time in DC is a huge bonus for you as a candidate.
I completely agree with you. And a lot of people, the uninformed voter, unlike anybody that's watching this, everybody knows what they're talking about here. They don't realize the roles and responsibility of a federal representative in Congress. I spend time in Washington, or, my district, Washington State, to talk to the people, to hear things out, to get the opinions. And you have to talk to Republicans and Democrats. I hate to say it. You can't ignore everybody. You have to talk. If they vote, I want to talk to them. And then you go and you talk to your people, and then you go and you represent them in Washington, D.C. You're not representing lobbyists. You're not representing special interests. You're representing the people who brought you there in the first place. And a lot of these candidates all across the country, some have never even been to Washington, D.C., and they get there and they were like me on January 20th, 2017, where, oh, wow, everything's so great. The buildings are so big. The people are no, they're not so friendly, but that's gone with me. I don't know how to say it, but the luster has worn off for Washington, D.C. You see it how it truly is. It's not a great place. It's a horrible place, especially if you're a grassroots person. They try to eat grassroots people alive here. They don't like them.
So I have a question for you that's that is about something currently going on in Congress, and I'm curious what you think about this. This is Rand Paul posted this on X. He said, while Americans continually voice their concerns about rampant abuse in assistance programs for refugees, 192 House Republicans still voted to keep nearly $5 billion in taxpayer-funded refugee welfare flowing. Only 24 Republicans had the guts to stand up and say no. When it counted, 192 Republicans sided with the DC swamp, not with you being the people. And so there's a list of 24 people. My representative, Greg Stubbe here in Florida, is fortunately on that list of 24 people. So I'm happy about that. But 24 out of, what do we have, like 217 or something, is nothing. So I don't even know if you're aware of this thing that they were this bill that they were voting on. We would want you to be one of those 24. We would want you to be on the short list of 24.
And if I was in Congress today, the list would be 25. It comes down to the nitty gritty of these bills and what's actually being spent on. And Republicans love to campaign one way and then govern the other. And this is the perfect example of that. How many people have we seen in the last few weeks, Republican wise, that are rattling the cages, talking about fraud, talking about abuse, how these things need to stop? And then at the end of the day, they still vote to fund them. Another thing is the department. I don't want to sway, but another thing is the Department of Education. President Trump says he's abolishing the Department of Education. I saw Linda McMahon go and give a speech about abolishing fully funded. Republicans are putting money right back into it. And that's what goes with Congress. They don't represent the people. And in some cases, they don't represent the president very well either, because they like to completely go against what he says. So I would be one of the 25 for sure. There's so much, and just the little bit of fraud that we've seen over the last week is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
That was $9 billion in Minnesota that's being squandered away. Well, collectively, there's trillions of dollars that have been wasted over the last 20 years on fraud. And it's not just care and aid and things like that. The Department of War loves handing out contracts to all these places. And you can go to some of these missile factories that are in a neighborhood that are receiving $4 million of your taxpayer money. It's not a missile factory. There's people living inside that are renting the place. We have to address the fraud. We have to bring the power back to our dollar. And really any Democrat that says is fighting this. If we pulled back all the fraud, even half, 30% of the fraud that's going on in America and with our tax dollars, there's no justification to ever raise taxes again.
Yeah.
We need to save our money. They can, there's still little programs they like to fund and all that. I'm open to talking about that as long as we cut back. It's up for a discussion.
I feel like the American people are much more aware and engaged on some of these issues, like the fraud issue, especially with some of these especially like what happened in Minnesota. And so it's great that these things are coming to light. And then, like trying to educate people, like, yeah, if you think Minnesota, the Somali thing, the daycare thing is bad, like, come over here. We have like this huge, world of fraud to show you. And I think helping people understand that this isn't just a Democrat thing that the Republicans are doing, it's very much the uniparty.
Absolutely. It is 100% the uniparty. And, I was even thinking about this with everybody so educated nowadays. 5 years ago, when we first met, do you think that we would know about the Somali fraud if it was happening back then? Do you think Twitter at that time would let us talk about that, or Facebook at that time? Absolutely not. Now they've finally learned their lesson, and they're opening up to more discussion about these things. But nobody would know about this. But now here we are 5 years later. And that, like I said, is just the tip of the iceberg. All it takes is a well-researched individual or somebody with the resources who can pull up billions and billions of dollars just in Washington state alone of the fraud. Elderly care. I really am curious. I lost both my grandparents in the last week. Or in the last year, I've learned so much about like Medicaid and the systems and how much taxpayer money goes into. So if you're an old, I don't know, if you're an elderly person, pardon me, if you're an elderly person, you go to a private facility, it might be $5,000-$6,000 a month. But the minute that you can't pay for it privately, and then the Medicaid or Medicare kicks in and they put you in one of their facilities, that's $13,000 a month in some case per person. And they're everywhere in Washington state. All it just takes is somebody to look, see the fraud, investigate the fraud. It's not calling everybody a fraudster that does it or does childcare or healthcare or anything. But as taxpayers, we are entitled to know if people are stealing our money.
Absolutely. And the government is very good at stealing our money. One of the things that I think is important to talk about is that, like, for a freshman congressman, like, there's not a lot, like, you're not going to go in there and, like, we often hear candidates that are looking to get elected, I'm going to do this, and on day one I'm going to drop this bill, and it's like, no, you're going to be a freshman, and you're going to be like at the very back of the line. So let me ask you, as a freshman congressman, with the limited impact that you will have on the process, like, do you have sort of a strategy, or like, I think about me, if I was to go in there, I'd just vote no on everything, because I'm a small government person, right? We don't need all this crap and more funding and stuff. So I just, like, I'd be the resistance. What would you like? What do you think the first year of your term would look like?
The first year of my term, well, in Capitol Hill, a lot of these crusty old people that have been around for 10, 20 years, they won't even acknowledge freshmen congressmen or women. They won't talk to them. They won't have meetings with them. They won't even look at them twice in the hallway. And they say, oh, come back on your second term and maybe we'll talk. So yes, the system as it is not designed well for freshmen to come in there. And just like you just mentioned, I've seen so many candidates that go up there and they're going to change the world and they're going to save everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to impeach this guy. They're going to overturn the 2020 election only if you vote for them. It's like, I don't want to rain on their parade, but you are one of 535 technically, and you do not have all that power that you think. When I was in the Trump administration, I had more power with the stroke of a pen, just controlling federal policy. That doesn't take an act of Congress. You can just do something. But in Congress, no, you have to have the support of the majority. And so the first term in Congress, it really is about surviving, not falling into any of the traps. And especially I with my promises, they're going to try to get me with some of those.
For sure.
It's like high school almost. I hate to say it, because at the cafeteria in my first term, nobody's going to sit with me and have lunch. But you have to work on, just like those 24 Republicans. That sounds like 24 people that I would want to talk to and I would want to associate with. You just have to slowly start getting out there, building your network and friendships even. And just not the wrong kind that we talked about earlier.
So I want to drill down on this high school cafeteria concept. Who would you want to be friends with in this theoretical high school? Who would you want to sit with in the cafeteria?
Oh, that is a really tough question right now, because I couldn't name any off the top of my head that are really great. You mentioned Marjorie Taylor Greene earlier. I really liked her. I still like her, and I think that if she ran again, she could potentially win. The likes of her, I want to say Thomas Massey, just because he is a very principled.
I was hoping you would say that.
I've had the privilege of sitting down with him privately multiple times, and I don't know why they say so much bad things about him, because out of all the congressmen I've met, he seemed like he gave a damn the most out
He's
of
a
all.
man of the people. He truly goes to represent his constituents.
And I get I don't not say nervous, but there's a big attack on Thomas Massey right now that I don't necessarily agree with. I don't think he needs to be primaried. I think we need a lot more people just like him. And I base a lot of my policies off of his. He doesn't let foreign lobbyists into his office, which is great.
Yeah.
And, there's all this attack on Thomas Massey, but people like Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins and all this, they've been around for years. They've been openly impeding Trump on a lot of things, but they remain untouched. There's no calls for them to be primaried. And if I had it my way, I mean, I'd even trade Thomas Massey for this. If I could completely start with a fresh Congress, I would trade Thomas Massey for that. If we could start with brand new incumbents, brand new everything, without all the favors and all the problems and baggage, I think we would see a very big difference in Congress. But when it comes down to it, it's about the Constitution, and it's about passing laws that follow the Constitution, removing laws that don't pass the Constitution.
Yes, amen.
So that is my answer.
Yeah, I was hoping you would say Thomas Massey. I also really like Tim Burchett.
A lot of people do. Tennessee, right?
Yes, Tennessee.
Yep. He pops up every now and then. A lot of people like him.
Yeah.
And that's been that's one of my challenges working in Washington, D.C. My job, where I should be right now, I should be up on the Hill being a chief of staff to somebody and really helping them be successful for one of these congressmen. But I go down the list and I say, who do I want to work for? Who do I want to work for? And every single one of them practically, and Thomas Massey has great staff. I can't go work for him. They stay.
I bet.
How can I work for people that I don't fundamentally agree with? And people that I think are subverting a lot of things that Trump tries to do, or even, subverting the Constitution. I can't help those people be successful. I'm a great chief of staff, but that's been my challenge. So if I want things to change, I can sit around and I can complain about it, or I can try to do something about it. And that's why we're going to make this play here in Washington State.
I think that's awesome. And I really like that you are, just man of the people. Like, you really want to go. I really feel that you're being authentic with that, is you really want to go and be a man of the people and represent the constituents. Because that's such a huge problem, is that we have these people who their title is representative, but they don't represent us. They represent the lobbyists and, the special interest groups and things like that. So I really like that about you. And I believe that you would follow through with that. How would you, like, one of the things that I think is cool about like Thomas Massey and Tim Burchett is that they're making these videos and posting them on social media. They're walking or whatever, and just trying to get it up quick to get the word out to the people, so the people understand what's happening in the process. I'm just curious, how would you communicate with your constituents during the session so they understand what's going on sort of in real time? Maybe, I mean, have you thought about that?
I think about it all the time, because it is a lot of Republican incumbents and some Democrats too. I pay more attention to the Republicans, obviously. A lot of people don't even know who their representative is in their district. They don't know who their congressman is. And there's some cases in some other places. The special interests get a hold of them. They give them a whole bunch of money, just enough to win, or they run practically unopposed because it's a Republican plus 20, something like that. And then you rarely hear from these people. Nobody knows who they are. And I'm not trying to run to be famous or anything like that. I'm not a very good influencer, but in this situation, just like what you mentioned, it takes constant communication with your incumbents, with your constituents, and even the rest of America.
Yes.
with active social media, videos, newsletters, I mean, I think sometimes if you call a representative's office, the representative just pick up the phone and say hello. And obviously that's a little unrealistic, but that can happen sometimes. It can happen. Excuse me. So it really is. And I got my degree in strategic communications. So I know a lot about PR and the formats. So we do need to expand the social media presence, and that everybody thinks that they're going to post a viral video or a video they think is going to go viral and that it's going to get 10 million hits. No, it never works like that. The more viral you try to become, the less people pay attention to you.
Right.
So really we'll do updates. Town halls are a big problem right now in districts. So Jamie Herrera Butler, wherever she's at nowadays, she stopped doing in-person town halls. She did phone town halls. That was terrible, horrible format.
Yeah,
I think
nobody wants to do
every
that.
congressman should have a in-person town hall at the minimum once a year, maybe two if you have a big district. You have to find a way to put yourself in front of the people, not just digitally, but personally as well.
Mhm.
You want people to see you at the grocery stores. You want people to see you at the fair. And when they come and talk to you, you have to be receptive to them. You can't be upset. Somebody wants to know more. You're their representative. You need to talk to them.
Right. Absolutely.
So I'm going to do everything I can to get the message out there. And especially if we move forward and if we win, you will see my face a lot more. And I got to practice more doing live streams and videos like that, whole walking around with a camera in my face. I do better talking to people than I do talking to a camera.
Well, you've been putting out some video clips that are really good and kind of talking about your position and some of the issues that you're seeing, and I think that's really great. And I hope that you will continue to put those out. Just really authentic content for people to really get to know you, which is one of the things. When I saw your Facebook post a couple weeks ago, I was really excited because of, since you and I first met, I've met a lot of candidates and I've met a lot of elected officials, and you are really one of the most authentic people that I've met. You're just like a real guy. You're nice, you're kind, you're genuine. And I think that in the world of politics, there's not a lot of that, which I'm sure better than most of us, being in DC. That authenticity and genuineness is rare in politics and government. I want to touch on. I want to hear about some of tell me what your top 3 policy issues are. What are you most passionate about?
My biggest thing right now is affordability in America. I look at my generation and I see a lot of people struggling to get jobs.
Yeah.
I see people struggling to get housing. I mean, even
Mhm.
rent is through the roof. It's not just the fact that rent could be cheaper and you could just live somewhere until things
Right.
calm down. Rent goes up as housing gets more affordable. I look at the next generation after that, Gen Z, and even the younger one. I don't know what they're calling them yet, but with every generation, things are only going to get a little bit harder with the direction things are going, with just inflation, affordability, and the job market.
Yeah.
A lot of millennials and a lot of Gen Z are, well, it's mainly Gen Z now. I guess millennials are getting old, but with Gen Z, they're looking at college and they're saying, do I want to put myself in all this debt? Because they see my generation that got in all this debt and can't find jobs. You go to Starbucks and everybody there has a college degree and they're all looking for a job. We have to change. We have to look towards the future instead of just the next election cycle or the next budget bill, and find answers as to why things are becoming tougher for younger generations. Another thing that I really am passionate about is immigration. I'm not against immigration. My dad, like I mentioned earlier, he was an immigrant from Syria, but it's objective. If somebody like me is saying we have a problem, we are letting too many people in, And not only are we just letting them in, they're finding ways to live off of government assistance.
Yeah.
My dad washed dishes at Denny's when he first came to this country. He wasn't getting assistance. He wasn't getting, licenses for some sort of child care centers. And that comes down to jobs as well. American jobs are being replaced by foreign workers. I've done the math, and we allow, even now today, 150,000 H-1B visas come in from India, 80,000 H-1B visas come in from China. That is 300,000 something American jobs. And these aren't big tech smart jobs. These are entry level junior positions that they can find the Americans to fill them. And if there is a problem with our education system, Americans aren't getting educated enough in technical fields, we have to look at that and address it in one way or the other. We can't rely solely on foreign insourcing and outsourcing in a lot of cases, just because it's cheaper, just because these corporations will make 3% profit more than last year or something like that.
Yep.
So
those are huge issues. I think you nailed like the top three issues. And I think with Gen Z and the unaffordability, like you said, they can't buy houses. They, the job market is, we're importing labor and exporting jobs, and it's not sustainable for America.
I know so many 30-year-olds that are still living with their parents, and in 10 years time, it's going to be 40-year-olds and then 50-year-olds. At some point you have to move out, but if the system's kind of stacked against you, because a lot of these people, they did the right thing. They worked, they saved up their money, and you need $10,000 for a down payment of a house. And now that $10,000 is $25,000, $30,000 in some cases, because houses are so crazy. It's just, we have to think about the future. We have to.
Totally agree. I don't see any questions in the chat. If anybody has any questions, throw them in the chat so we can get to those. How can I know you're going to be doing some stuff in districts, some events and meeting people. Can you tell us a little bit about what your plans are there?
Well, it's going to be interesting moving forward because it's January. The primaries are in August. So the biggest challenge for a lot of, trying to figure out how to put it, candidates that have a lot of work to do to build up their name and build up their reputation. It is a slow roll. There is no overnight sensation. There's no auditoriums of people cheering, but you have to build it up, and it takes a lot of work. So for the first month, it's going to be the basic, having coffee with people, talking to the PCOs of the counties. I am working on getting an endorsement. I want to be endorsed by Clark County. I think
that's a good idea.
Clark County endorsement is one of the most critical endorsements for the primary. And we'll send a message to the other candidates that maybe they shouldn't be here.
Yeah. And I think that's how I caught that you were running there. I think that was maybe I don't know how, but I've seen something about that. And you have sent some materials to their endorsement committee or something like that.
You send them your resume, you send them a questionnaire, and then you leave it up to them to decide. I don't want to force them. I really want to be the guy for this time around.
Yeah.
I think I have a lot to offer. So it really is basic things for the first couple months to just raise those $20.26. I'm sorry, I was reading that comment and I got distracted.
Sorry, I put that up because that is Joy Jersvold. She's on our leadership team, and she's in Kitsap County. So maybe we could send her down to the 3rd district, and she could do like a coffee, meet the candidate.
I would love that. Joy, I would absolutely love that. And yes, I will adopt you from other districts. Thank you so much. Because at this point, I need all the support I can get. If I'm not going to take money from foreign PACs, and I'm really being careful about who I take money from, big money from wise, the $20.26 helps a lot. You know, we need
Awesome.
more grassroots candidates for these positions instead of establishment people that
Yes.
are just going to be more of the same.
Yep.
And I lost my train of thought on what I was answering.
Sorry.
Oh, my events. I remember now. So it comes down to coffee. Joy, I'd love to have coffee with you.
Her husband is a retired U.S. submarine force, so she'll bring him along.
Oh, excellent. We'll have a lot to talk about. And then from there on, I want to have fun events. I want to do some fun things. Of course, there's always the fundraisers and things like that where you go and you just meet people in a living room and ask them for money. But I want to look at like getting a movie theater. I want to have like fun events, renting out a movie theater, or maybe knowing the owner and watching a silly movie like Idiocracy or something like that.
That'd be fun.
You know, for 40 or 50 bucks, you get a dinner and you get a movie and you all get to hang out with each other. And I get to pocket a little bit of that for the campaign. I want fun events. I want things that draw in more than just the same 40 people that are in the same room that you just gave a speech to a month ago. We have to, if I'm going to be successful, we have to draw in as many people as we can. We need Democrats to come in on this too. If they don't like glockenspiel, then, you know, they know I won't sell out. They may not agree on, I don't know, 20% of my views, but there's 80% that they probably still like. So we're gonna move forward. I need to when and if I officially run, I need to find a campaign manager and all these fun things. And then we're going to start setting schedules and appearances and hitting every single county as hard as we can without them getting sick of me either. I don't want people to get Wadi fatigue either.
Well, I think that's tough, especially if you're doing, you know, sort of fun out of the box things. And, you know, that's sort of that's our whole deal at Conservative Ladies, is doing things that are out of the box and not what normal politicians, you know, because, you know, when I started this organization 5 years ago, it was really to pull in people who were not politically engaged, who wouldn't want to go to political events, but somehow we could make it cool for them, you know, make it something that they were interested in so that we could get them engaged. So that's really the spirit of our organization, is just talking to the average citizen who is not going to the GOP events, not going to the Republican Women's Club luncheon. Not that there's anything wrong with those, but a lot of people just don't go there. And the people that do go to those, you know, you tend to get the same group of people every time. And so, you know, reaching out to groups and organizations that maybe are not, you know, fit within the nice little political Republican box, I think will be helpful to you.
Yeah. And really, I think this is one of my superpowers, but I do a really good job talking to moderates. I don't scare them like, you know, a lot of them get scared of some of these Republicans, and there's nothing to be scared of. Democrats too. I think I had quite a few Democrats donate to me last time I ran, and I was like, well, really? Are you sure? They said, yes, we want somebody like you. And I appreciate that.
Well, I think all Americans really want transparency, even if they don't agree with you on every issue. If they know that you're not like, and Christopher's comment here that I put up on the screen is perfect. Like, people are waking up and they're realizing that all of these politicians are pretty much just feeding us a line of garbage. And we just want people to tell us the truth. What is actually going on? Just tell us the truth.
What is actually going on, instead of riling people up against, you know, Democrat voters. We have to stop fighting with each other on the grassroots level. You have to look above the protesters. Who's paying them? Who is? It's all so engineered. It is so engineered as a distraction to what's really going on in DC. And that is why I try to avoid the right versus left headline of the day type of policies. We really have to focus on long-term policies. What's the old men must plant seeds of trees that they might not get to sit in the shade of. That's really what we have to be doing right now.
Yep, because we have a long way to go. And I think that like that quote is perfect, because a lot of what you and I are doing right now, and people like us that are trying to move the needle, we have decades to really right this ship. And so everything we're doing now is just small things that will eventually make a big difference. And I just want people to know that what we are, sometimes you might feel like, well, what I'm doing, calling this senator or, writing an email to this congressperson, it's such a small thing and it's not helping. But just think, if we all do those small things and more and more and more, it will turn into a big thing and we'll actually start changing the needle, and we, the people, will take back our country. And that's why we want people like Wadi representing us in Washington, D.C. And so thank you for taking the time to do this. It sounds like Joy is all in to do this event with you. Yeah. Should you decide to run, we'll have a Conservative Ladies of Washington /America event in the 3rd Congressional District in Washington, and see what we can do to help get you some momentum and get the name recognition. Do you have any last words before we sign off here?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me. This was a really great conversation. I hope we get to do this again sometime soon.
Yeah, let's do it.
Maybe when and if I officially file and run, we can talk more about policies and things like that. I want to thank everybody that's watching this. It's just nice to have an audience. It takes a lot of work, just like we talked about. It's not just an overnight thing. So if you like me and you trust me and you think I would be I'd do a good job representing you. Oh, sorry. I keep reading these comments. Please go to wadi2026.com. Please just donate $20.26. That's all I ask of anybody. Anything you can give. It's a long haul. We got a big monster fight in these primaries. You raise a lot of money, but I think that we can do it, because it's not about how much you raise. It's about how effectively you use it. And right. I think we can do it.
Yeah. And from wherever you're watching in the country, if you like what you're hearing from Wadi, you can donate from anywhere. The lobbyists and the PACs and all those people are donating all their big money to these candidates. So whatever. And if you can't do $20.26, $10, $5, whatever you can do would be awesome. So thank you guys for joining us. Please share this video so other people can get to know Wadi as well. And if he does make it official, we will definitely have him back. And if you're one of our viewers in Washington, we will keep you posted as for a Conservative Ladies event with Wadi in the 3rd Congressional District. Thank you so much. God bless you, Wadi. God bless all of you that are watching, and we will see you next time.
God bless you. Thank you.